Welcome to Lights in the Night with Russ Johnson. Join us in our never-ending quest for knowledge on extraterrestrial life, UFOs, and the beyond. Your host, Russ, will lead you on an intergalactic quest to discover alien existence and life expansion. Make sure to call in at 888-994-4995 Studio A to ask questions and get involved. And visit us online at lightsinthenight.org. Keep your eyes and ears peeled for Lights in the Night.
Hi, Russ Johnson here. And last week was a very interesting show with the head of, he was commander of Area 51 for a number of years. Of course, then he could easily visit S4 or Grooms Lake. But anyway, so it was a pretty good show. But we had a special guest that she's with us again. Sally, you have your own show with Nina, what they call you?
Zena.
Got it.
That's what I was told to call myself.
Is
Zena.
that right? Oh, Zena. All right,
Yes.
all right. Blonde your last name. Yeah. So anyway, for people to find you
Sally,
and your show.
my name is actually Sally Bernard.
Oh, Bernard.
But I was given the message to call myself Zena.
Okay.
So my show is Call Myself Zena. So I continue on your show as Zena.
Great. Okay, Zena. And your show is when?
It's on Monday at 3 o'clock. Call me Zena.
Call me Zena.
There we go. But my name is Sally Bernard, as you see there. Confusing.
Well, listen, we had a nice conversation. I'm glad
Yes,
you
we
joined us.
did.
Listen,
Yeah.
listen, you say you have a lot of knowledge of extraterrestrials.
I do, yes.
Been on spaceships, you've been abducted, on and
I
on
have,
and on.
yes.
You have to be a clairvoyant, you intuitive.
It
right?
all came with the territory.
All came
yes,
with the
yes,
territory.
Yes.
So I would like to ask you, just to start,
Okay.
human beings are on Earth, right? Mm-hmm. According to Zachariah Sitchin and some others, that we were created by them 400,000 or 500,000 years ago. Tell us more about that.
Well, from what I feel and from what I've been, the information that I've got, they came down, the Anunnaki came
Right.
down from another planet, which I will call Planet X.
Okay.
And they were there were people here, but they were more, as I would say, not to criticize the way they were, but I would say they were more animal-like. So they really didn't know what was going on, but they were on our planet. So what actually happened, the Anunnaki came down here. I believe there were 50 that came, the first ones, to kind of train us because their planet had problems from Planet X. The outside of the planet, they needed more, I think it was gold, I'm not sure, to actually renew the planet.
Sure.
So they knew that Earth, as it was at that point, had gold here. So they came down to mine the gold from our planet. Having said that, when they came down here, they worked here to mine that gold. But what happened is this is hard work. They were digging and digging and digging, and they were doing what they wanted to do, and they were sending it up to their planet. But there were people here, not what we see as people, but they had consciousness. So they said, well, why don't we train these people to help us? Let them do the work. So that's the beginning of the story. They actually, the people that were here on Earth at that point were they were working for them.
Right.
They were teaching them how to dig so that they didn't have to. And this happened over a few thousand years. It didn't happen immediately. So they were watching them and training them. And then the story continues. So any questions that you want to ask me, I can.
Yeah, the Zachariah Sitchin wrote a number of books. I think one in the book called The 12th Planet or something like that. He talks about that. So people who want to do some homework, I would suggest get that book and find out all about the Anunnaki. We even have a person in our studio who, Frank, he knows about the Anunnaki, right, Frank?
Yes.
Well, tell us about what you know about the Anunnaki.
Well, Sally was right. They came and they trained us originally. And they imparted knowledge that the ancient civilizations here used to build a lot of the structures that people today say, well, how the heck did they build this? How did they melt the rock? How did they put this together? This all comes from that ancient knowledge that has since been lost. And a lot of people believe it was the Anunnaki or people like them that have come here and trained the indigenous population here at the time to do what they did, and then lost that ability, and that ability was lost. They don't know how to do it anymore. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of structures that were built that they have found in Indonesia and in Egypt that today, physically, even with the multi-million-dollar powerful construction equipment we have now, can't be built.
Right. Did you write about any of that? I understand you have written about 8 books. Did you write about?
I'm not sure if I was sure of the amount, but I know you've written books on published books.
Yeah, I've written about ancient civilizations.
Oh, I see.
Right,
And-
yes, that's what I'm
and-
saying.
How they came here. I write about the ancient civilization that was on Mars,
Okay.
because there was, if you look at some of the photographs that the Mars rover has taken, you look at some of the archived photographs, there are Egyptian-like statues and petroglyphs on Mars.
Okay. All right.
So I extrapolated that in my book, Xantha Terra. Xantha Terra is a section of Mars. It's a plane on Mars called Xantha Terra.
Okay. Right.
From my understanding too, and I don't know if you go along with this, I believe they came from another planet, but they actually had a way station on Mars. In other words, if they wanted to refuel their rocket ships, they actually it was a way station.
It's
That's
possible,
from what
but
I
there was an
understand.
ancient
I was given that
civil-
message.
Right. Yeah. Nibiru was a
There
planet.
was an
Nibiru
ancient,
was the planet.
There was an,
Yeah.
there was an ancient civilization on Mars.
Right.
Right, okay.
So a lot
And
of
in-
that's
yeah.
been covered up.
And in my book, after that civilization was wiped out, remnants tried to come here to warn us of what happened to them.
Okay. What is the
And-
name of your book, if I may?
The name of
name-
that book is called Xantha Terra.
Okay.
Terra.
Okay. Let me go back to Zena.
Just to tell you that what happened to me, and my guide gave me a lot, my guide that was
Sure,
materialized
sure.
here, I was drawing rocket ships. I have no idea at that point why I was, and I have this all, I have it all in my, I have all the drawings of what I was doing, but I was suddenly very engrossed in drawing rocket ships, like on a way station. And he then explained to me that, because he understood all this before I knew this, that this was their way station from where they continued
I
to
see.
come down to Earth.
see.
But then, of course, he did continue the story with me, so anything that I might be able to contribute, I'd like to.
Okay. Yeah. But in addition, you were talking about abduction. Let's
Yes.
talk about that a bit.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know they have been abducted. And the estimate for the people here in the United States, they say it's about 6 million people who have been abducted, or better, 6 to 8 million.
Right.
That's just in this country. Now, all around the world. You remember some of your abductions. Why? How?
I am beginning to, because I actually documented what was happening to me at that time, but over the last few days or even weeks now that I have met you, I realize it wasn't, first of all, I called it flying. I didn't understand this, so I thought. Then I said I was astral projecting, which I did do, but I also now know today that the people that were in, quote, my dreams at that point were real, because I can remember everything. I can describe the ships that I was on. It was a smaller one. I went to many different planets at that point too. It only happened within 1 year, but I got so much information from them. And not only did I get the information, I was told to draw. Now I know why, because I'm drawing what I'm seeing.
Okay.
So with the combination of my guide being here in physicality to talk to me about it so that I wouldn't get too scared, and me drawing, not knowing what I was drawing, but he was interpreting the drawings for me.
Most people aren't contactees, so you would be in that category as a contactee?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
Because you had a guide.
I had a guide here
Right.
that was in physicality that looked exactly like us. He
Oh,
was
I
from
see.
Peru, but I had many guides that were what we would call aliens, but he was here in physicality, living, and I'm experiencing talking to him in person.
Okay. do you physically talk to him, or was it telepathy?
No, I physically talked
is
to
that
him,
right?
only he always knew where I was. Let's say I was in a car, I'm only really beginning to understand this today. He passed a year and a half ago. If I I actually broke my arm. Nobody knew what emergency room I was in. I fell down. The next thing I know, he's standing by my bedside in the emergency room. So I have numerous things of what he taught me. He didn't want to, he went very slowly with me over the 18 years, but he came in here to look for me and found me.
I suspect that when you broke your arm in emergency room.
My shoulder, actually, yes.
Shoulder,
yeah.
right. Then I guess he had the ability to do remote viewing to see where you were.
Yes,
Is
he
that right?
absolutely knew. He was not a doctor here, but he told the doctor that was going to operate on my arm exactly what had happened to my shoulder. It's my shoulder. That was just one of many, many things. He always knew where I was. If I was ever in trouble, he seemed to arrive there.
Okay.
So I now know.
So
who
I
he
guess we
was.
can put you in the category of a contactee.
Yes, yes.
Do you think, was he an alien in a human body? Because aliens do shapeshift.
Absolutely.
Right.
He always waited for me to tell him what was happening to me. He didn't, like previous lives, I said, I'm having a remembrance. When he passed a year and a half ago, he said to me, you will start to remember many things. He didn't want to so-called feed me the memory. But today I see now, and he's also talking to me from the other side, let's call the other side of the veil. He's wanting me to give the message now because I have so much information, and also the fact that I was able to draw so much and that he was here. So I believe that it's my time to start coming out
So
with
then
this.
you were an intuitive, clairvoyant, psychic,
Right.
on and on,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. One of many things. But it's a message that we need to get out there.
Right. Look, a lot of people have been abducted, but they have a methodology. They erase your memory. Is that right?
Yes, they absolutely do. And I
Okay.
believe they even erased my memory as I was traveling. I remember so certainly a lot because I documented it, which was in my first book. So I documented all my travels. But I really didn't know exactly that I was being abducted. I just felt that I found out about astral projection, so I knew I was projecting, but it was a combination of two because I had people with me in the craft. So now it's all flooding back to me. My memory is opening up.
Well, Whitney Streeper has a book called Communion. Did you ever read that book, Communion?
No, I did not.
No, okay.
No.
How about Dr. Mack?
No, I actually haven't read a lot,
Oh, is that right?
but they've given me a tremendous
Okay.
amount of information.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'm able to, any question that you may, I feel confident enough because I am getting channeled, which I do on my show, that I'm going to be
you
able
channel?
I channel, yes. I
Also?
channel, absolutely.
You-
yes,
you-
which I do on my show, Call Me Zena.
Is that right? Call Me Zena?
Any questions, I seem to,
So the
be able
people,
to answer.
what number do they call you when you're on your show?
Yes, it's 888-994-4885. 4995. I never remember the number, and I've been doing my show for a couple of months. And anybody that wants to look into what I'm able to do, I don't give myself the credit. It's not me, but they're able to talk to me. It's a call-in show.
Then you have a website too.
I have a website, Sally Bernard, at oh my gosh, I don't use it that much.
Okay.
At art.com.
But it's being revised.
It's being revised, yes. But I was able to draw, so.
Because lately, but for many years now, because your coach or guide, he was with you 18 years.
18
at
years,
least, right?
yes. Artbysallybernard.com. They're just telling me, okay.
Before you met him, did you have any idea that you were abducted? Did you?
No, I had no idea. I knew that certain things were happening to me. I felt different, but I didn't want to really talk about it. I was able to, I could see things that were happening in the future. I didn't tell anyone, but I knew that I was having dreams, and I had no idea when it was going to happen, but I was getting premonitions.
Okay. How about looking at history a little bit? We seem to be in a dilemma here on this planet. A lot of conflict, a lot of knockdown, drag out over politically, socially, economically, whatever. How do you see things in the next, say, 3 or 4 years? What do you see?
we're in trouble. I don't want to scare people.
Well, obviously,
but we're in trouble.
I think we
So-
all know that something is happening.
So it is, and I had this question asked on my show too. I believe that Earth is a being, a living being, not the
Okay.
way that we see it, but
Okay.
Earth is a living being, and Earth is talking to us. We're getting earthquakes, we're getting all sorts of floods, the weather is upside down. And I'm not here to scare people, because I think the more people that we can have this information and bring it out, we might begin to see that we need to look after our home, which is Earth. I have no idea when this is going to happen, and hopefully we can change it. But if not, my belief is, and not to go into another show, but we have another Earth waiting for us. So just to let you know that
Okay.
it's going to be okay, but we need to save what we have now.
Well, there are many aliens out there in the vastness of the universe, some of whom we don't even know, probably, right? In
Right.
different galaxies. I
Right.
mean, you have millions of trillions and billions of galaxies,
Right,
right?
right.
Okay. So the ones that you know or you've touched base with, I guess how many species? Maybe one or two or three or
Most
four or
of the
five?
people that I have spoken to didn't look very unsimilar to us. I even
I see.
write that in my first book. They
Okay.
look like us.
Oh, I see.
But there are many, many different. I've drawn many different types of aliens.
I see.
So I haven't recalled all my memory yet. I'm in the process of doing that.
The ones that you met that look like us, saying us, the tall whites, I believe,
Right,
is the name.
right.
Okay. What kind of information did they give you, or did they interface with you at all?
Yeah, no, they talked to me. They took me around many different
Oh.
planets.
Oh.
I went and visited many different
Okay.
planets. I remember one was extremely cold. I remember another where they told me it was kind of top secret information, which is now coming back to me, my memory of that, where they actually took me. So I had many visitations, obviously, it was only for 1 year. There is no time, but in our time, they took me for a year all around.
Okay. Some of them look like E.T., right? Some of them look like the Greys. Then you have the reptilians.
Right,
Then you have the
right,
Nordics.
right.
And on and on and on.
Right.
Yeah. Did you ever meet any reptilian?
Yes, I did.
You did?
I did. Yes,
Oh,
I
okay.
did. Yes,
Did you
I did.
draw any pictures of the reptilian? No.
Well, it's only beginning to me now when
I
I'm
see.
looking back that I see actually what I'm drawing, because my memory, they can erase a lot of your memory.
Of course.
Although they showed me this,
Yeah.
but I still get visions of what I was able to do. And I had my guide here, Aldo, who was in physicality. He only explained to me as much as I was able to take in. But suddenly, over the last couple of weeks, and meeting you, and also Frank, who I hadn't really spoken to that much, so much of my memory is returning. They erased a lot of my memory. They only gave me what they wanted me to talk to
Okay.
them about, because we are controlled. So
Big time.
big
With
time.
AI?
I just wanted to explain that.
But Shakespeare
yes.
said something like that. What did
If
he
all
say?
the world's a stage, yes,
Is it-
which I had to, right, right.
So we are actors and actresses upon the stage.
Right, absolutely. We
it's
play many parts.
So this is all make pretend?
Yes, I mean, this is very difficult to understand,
Okay.
but I do, as much as I'm able to comprehend this. This is an illusion, which
Oh.
I'm really beginning to understand so much more. So basically, and it sounds ridiculous, but however you want your life to go, if you believe this and understand this, we make things happen. But the first thing to do is to believe that and try and we've been brainwashed, so we need to sort of go back and try to bring ourselves into the picture and say, this is the way that I'm beginning to think.
So then we have power.
We have the power, we just don't know we have the
Really?
power, and that's really important.
Well, did they take it away from us by reprogramming us?
Yes, absolutely, because
Okay.
the control that they have over us is that they don't want us to know. Because
see.
if they don't want us to know, you can be, just as in life, you can be controlled, right?
Right. So what they teach in churches or schools or colleges or universities, a guy just passed named William Tompkins. He's wrote a
Oh,
book.
yeah, I actually heard.
You remember Tompkins? Yes. He was contacted by the aliens in 1942, and he just passed a couple of years ago. So he was in contact for 70 or 80 years with him, because he was 94, he just passed.
Right.
But he was saying that all this information is wrong that we learn in schools and colleges and
We have it backwards, and actually,
Okay.
I think about 16 years ago, which I do read on my show, is poetry that I was writing that came the same way as my art, and I didn't know what I was writing. But one of the things that I wrote about is that we have it backwards. We are so controlled to not remember this. So what we see is not really what's really happening. We are very different to what we appear to be. We just don't know that.
So we could be on a spaceship imagining that we're here on a radio station.
Yes, yes, that's very true. But I feel that I want to spread this now. I feel very comfortable bringing this information out because I think it's important. But in a way, I can only tell you that I've made this happen.
Okay.
I mean, no
okay.
matter how maybe I've been controlled, because we all are, I'm
So
bringing back to myself who I am.
So AI is real.
AI is real.
Real.
AI is real.
So most of us are dumbed down, basically.
Absolutely
and
right.
to the 5th or 6th grade level, if you will.
Yes, yes.
And so to stretch your imagination, use your energies and your efforts and your creative talent to be innovative and creative is tough then. You have to break up the mold.
Well, yes, because whatever you do, if you turn on the TV or the governments, the schools, everything is geared for them to be able to, again, I'm not here to, I don't want to cause a whole big problem here, but we're so geared to listen to these things.
True.
I mean, if you're a child and you're in school, you're going to listen to what they teach you. I'm not blaming the teachers. They don't know any different, just as everybody else, they don't know. But when you begin to open up a little bit, as they said, there's a commercial on television actually, the signs are all around us.
Okay.
The reason that it's very true to me is that I started drawing these symbols and signs. I didn't know what they were, but I'm drawing all these symbols and signs.
I see.
That how they're able to control us.
There's such entities that have come to this world. Buddha, Krishna, Baha'u'llah, Zoroaster, Jesus, on and on. Who were those individuals? Were they aliens?
I think so, yes, absolutely. Because again, I can only go here from what my guide in physicality told me.
Right.
But he did explain. I was born into, I'm Jewish, but I
Right.
never really got that involved with organized religion. So that did help me. And I'm not saying that that's wrong. I'm not here to judge what anybody wants to believe. However, he started to explain the Bible to me, which I didn't know that much about, and explained to me what was put into the Bible that makes technology and all these things that I began to learn suddenly made a lot of sense to me. I'm not out here to change people of their faith, because any faith of any kind is very important. But I began to looked at it differently.
Right.
Because it made sense to me. I was starting to unbrainwash myself, so to speak.
I understand, yeah. In John 14:12, Jesus said, all the things that I have done, you can do and more. Let's talk about that.
Perfect. Jesus, and I believe that he came here to teach us. If I want to say I have the utmost respect for Jesus, of course I do. He came to show us the way. Only we were so confused here that it was hard to see his messages. This is something that I feel very deeply about today.
Okay.
And I think he was the most amazing, amazing person.
What would you tell the average person who can't remember being abducted, number one, and the knowledge you have about Antarctica, about Jesus, about Krishna or Buddha, whatever, what would you tell them to do if they had doubts and fears and apprehensions about what you have just said today?
Okay. First of all, I do want to say that not everybody is ready for this. And I totally understand it. But when you begin to open up, as we have somebody here in the audience here, and I believe that she's asking, I feel it, the right questions. But as my guide used to say, go little by little, because it's very important to do that. You will, through energy, attract the people in your life that are ready to hear this. And
I'm going to take 30 seconds.
Commercial,
Frank, 30 seconds, because that's all we have. What would you say in closing the program? What would you say? Based on your experiences and your writing and your analysis.
The information is out there for anybody who wants it. You need to break through the haze that we've been given,
Okay.
cover our eyes, and research it.
Do you have a
There.
book that you've written you would recommend for people to start on?
Tres Archangelis.
Try that again.
It's Latin for three archangels. Tres Archangelis.
Okay. Frankie, thank you very much for being on the program. Really appreciate it. And Zena, thank you very much for being here. Lights in the Night with Russ Johnson and all the good people here who understand what we are talking about and have participated in trying to raise the consciousness level of the universe. See you next week, same time, same place, right here. Lights on the Night, same station. See you then.
Welcome to Lights in the Night with Russ Johnson. Join us in our never-ending quest for knowledge on extraterrestrial life, UFOs, and the beyond. Your host, Russ. You've been listening to Lights in the Night. Be sure to catch us every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. If you missed a show, be sure to head to our Facebook page, Lights in the Night with Russ Johnson. You can find us on all social media platforms and our website at lightsinthenight.org. We will see you next week, and as always, keep your eyes and ears peeled for Lights in the Night.